A very warm welcome to all investors present here today. We have with us our CIO, Mr. Sunil Damania, who will be taking us across a very interesting event and showing us some takeaways from the letters of Warren Buffett. Before I move on to the event, a big announcement for all the investors present here today. We still have our India plus USA Access link open. It's at a 90% discount. Let me explain to you that you get 3 years of full access to India as well as USA, which includes MojoOne, Stock of the Week, and all of US features. The link is available just below the video. Over to you, Mr. Sunil.
Very warm welcome, all of you. This webinar is purely based on the public demand. Warren Buffett published. So normally he publishes his letter to the shareholders last week of Feb, and it's a treat to read them. Actually, whoever asked me, I want to learn about investing in the equity market, and my first advice is to go through those letters written by Warren Buffett to the shareholders. The beauty is that these letters are available without any login. You don't have to pay any charges for that, and it's available for many years. So it's a extremely good, information piece that one can go through and improve the chance of making money from the equity market. The beauty about Warren Buffett is this, what I really like about it, he gives a very practical advice. He does not give any theoretical advice, number one. Number two, his advice are easy to implement. Sometimes some doctor will tell you, you have to have this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. Practical होता नहीं है वो, am I right? But इसकी advice इतनी easy है कि it's very easy to implement and provided you have, so it's not a tough thing to do. Okay, so his advices are very easy to follow. So today I'm going to discuss about what he wrote in the latest letters to the shareholder. What are the key takeaways that we need to imbibe? And please take down a piece of paper, your laptop or your mobile. Please keep jotting it down. It becomes a good way to improve your returns. So I'm basically going to, it's in about 20 slides that I made actually. And it will really help you to understand what it is. The one concept he always talks about is a power of compounding. And I must tell you, some of the most literate people on the earth don't understand the power of compounding. And I'm going to illustrate that power of compounding to a live example so that you people can relate. I'll give you a very classical example. I happened to meet someone more than a year back actually in one of the five-star hotel in South Bombay, not Central Bombay. And we are discussing about the person's investment. He had bought a house and he said, see, I made so much money. And when I made him understand that its compounding is only so much, he got surprised with that. And sometimes people say, क्या फर्क पड़ता है 12% मिला या 10% मिला? It makes a huge difference over a longer period of time. If you remember, the other day, Jason did a presentation on ELSS scheme. And he presented a one ELSS scheme giving you returns in triple digit, and another ELSS scheme for the 3 years period, because ELSS comes with a 3 years lock-in, am I right? Another gave only in double digit, and huge difference. Now, that difference is very obvious to you when you look at it. But in CAG ads, sometimes it's a minor difference, but you can't figure out the impact it could create in your lifetime. So I'm also going to discuss about that. So before I begin my webinar, just a small disclaimer that this webinar is only for an education purpose. Whenever you invest in the equity market, it does carry a little higher amount of risk, and past performance is no indicator of a future returns. Having said that, in case if we discuss about the stocks in this webinar, they purely pertain to the MarketsMojo advisory. It's nothing to do with the infinity portfolio. So please don't get confused. If I say buy, hold or sell, and then you say why that's not there in my infinity portfolio. Infinity is a different passcode, and it's completely dealing from the what's available on the website. So let me start with the power of compounding. The Warren Buffett started his investment journey of Berkshire Hathaway in 1965 to 2020. This is a period we are talking about. Now, while the S&P 500, including dividend, gave CAGR of 9.9%, book value change in the Berkshire Hathaway was 19.8, double है. Okay. Now you बोलते हैं दो में क्या फर्क पड़ता है, डबल ही है ना, फर्क क्या पड़ा? What is difference between 9.9? But you look at the period of 1965 to 2022, and if I have to convert this into a percentage change from 1965 to 2002, the S&P 500 has gone up only to 24,708. But the power of compounding, the return is 37 lakhs. I beg your pardon, 37 lakhs 88,464%. 9.9, 19.8. Doesn't look so big, but double ही है ना, क्या फर्क पड़ा? But look at the returns. 9.9 would have given you, the return would have been 24.78% from 1965 to 2022. But Berkshire book value increased by 37 lakhs 88,464. And that's the power of compounding. So sometimes, and the power of compounding, the small difference over the longer period of time makes a huge difference in your overall returns that you make in the portfolio. And I always request all of you, start having a habit of looking at the compounding, power of compounding. हम लोग बहुत खुश हो जाते हैं एब्सोल्यूट रिटर्न देख के, लेकिन वो जब कंपाउंड करके देखते हो कि पता चलता है sometimes it may not have beaten even the benchmark. Forget about anything else. Am I right? Or maybe the fixed deposit. And hence the power of compounding is very, very critical. Now, with saying said that, why Warren Buffett is only one Warren Buffett? Why we don't hear anything other than Warren Buffett? He's been most respected, widely quoted fund manager across the world. Why is that so? The beauty of this fund manager has been that he has been able to create market-beating returns over a longer period of time. And that's the beauty. See, sometimes someone may give you, it's not that Warren Buffett always been the best fund manager or best returns manager, am I right? Every year there could be someone else who would have generated higher returns. So 2020 में कोई अलग होगा, 2021 में कोई अलग होगा, 2022 में कोई अलग होगा, 2023 के साथ कोई अलग होगा, and 1980 में कोई अलग होगा, 1981 में कुछ अलग होगा, the best pot fund manager. But they still don't become so famous. Why? Because they might have done extremely well in 1 year, second year they may not have done well, third year they may not have done well, and because of that, that CAGR return that they made over the span of time may not have been so great. And that makes a difference in terms of how many investors are willing to follow you and how many investors are willing to accept your philosophy of an investment. So in the field of fund management, the consistency across the time period is very, very crucial. Consistency doesn't mean that you have to every year you have to outperform. That doesn't mean that. But over a longer period of time, how you are able to create wealth. And I'll also showcase you, despite Warren Buffett has created huge wealth, he has also underperformed. It's not that he has not underperformed. So, कभी एक साल underperform कर दिया, कभी 2 साल underperform कर लिया, people get a little restless. हम लोग को तकलीफ हो जाती है. But Baba, it's a long-term game. You don't have to basically hit 6 in every ball. So that reminds me, let me give an example. I don't know how many people remember this face. This gentleman name is Vinod Kambli. He has the record even as on today. The highest test average by any Indian batsman in the history of Indian cricket. 54.2. Now you may say, अरे सचिन तेंदुलकर से ज़्यादा होगा. And despite he's having better than Sachin Tendulkar, he's not been called the cricketer, the god of cricket. In fact, many people may not be able to see him also, remember him also, Vinod Kambli. Are you aware about Vinod Kambli?
Yeah, I'm aware.
You are aware, okay, ठीक है. But were you aware that his test average is higher than Sachin Tendulkar?
No, that I was not aware.
That you are not aware. But yet he's not been considered. Why? Because he just created that 54.2 only for 2 years, 1993 to 1995. Am I right? And look at Sachin Tendulkar. 54.2. Sachin test average is only 53.8, lower than Vinod Kambli. But this average was from 1989 till 2013. It's almost 1 decade back Sachin Tendulkar retired. Am I right? But in the 27 years of a career, or 26 years of a career, his average, no other batsman in the world who has been played so long with such a high average. Even Virat Kohli has a lesser test average as compared to Sachin Tendulkar. And that's why Sachin. So the point I wish to convey here with an example of Sachin and Warren Buffett is that it's not that Sachin Tendulkar has not scored zero. In many series, he has failed completely. In many calendar years, Sachin Tendulkar has scored less than 500 runs also. But what mattered and why it has been called God of Cricket? Because over the longer period of time, he has been consistently been able to score runs against various opposition with the test average of 53.8. Am I right? And that's why Sachin is called God of Cricket. This is the way. So that's the thing. Now Warren Buffett, despite he's created such a huge wealth, if you can see this, 37,804.64% return from 1965 to 2022, 19.8% CAGR. Has he underperformed? Of course he has underperformed. What I've done, I've taken some data post-Lehman crisis and look at the amount of underperformance. I'm not talking about a small underperformance. In 2009, S&P 500 moved up by 26.5%. Warren Buffett made only 2.7% return. Oh God, what has happened? Something has happened. 1 second. Okay, yeah. I think it's my laptop is malfunctioning or something. Okay. He has created only 2.7% return only. Hugely underperformed. 2011, 1 year after 2009, 2011, the S&P 500 gave 2.1 positive returns. Warren Buffett given minus 4.7. Another 2015, the S&P 500 was 1.4%. The Berkshire book value was down by 12.5%. Look at the quantum. In 2 years in a row, that is 2019 and 2020, Warren Buffett underperformed 2 years in a row. So, and if you look at last 5 years, out of 5 years, 3 years he has outperformed, 2 years underperformed with 60% outperformance. But yet he has been called a most successful fund manager. Reason is very simple. The best of the best fund manager in the world can underperform. What matters is that how consistently he has been able to remain on the wicket and able to create run or create returns for the investors. So now let me come to the some of the takeaways from the Warren Buffett letter. And it's a very, very critical, I must want to. So he talks about, I'm going to talk about 10 major highlights. He talks about trust and the rules that you need to have when you invest in the company. Number 2, he talks about when you invest in a company, you should have a meaningful position. Why? Because I'll come to that. Number 3, he talks about no fund manager in the world can say I have not made mistakes. And Warren Buffett is more candid than any fund manager in the world. He does admit that mistakes are part of the investment journey. The moment you fear of mistakes, कभी पैसा investment equity में बनेगा नहीं. Number 4, he talks about fair valuation, which is only in the textbook. Real life में कोई fair valuation होता नहीं है. 5th, he talks about luck is very important in your wealth creation journey. So please give respect to the luck. That's what he talks about. Number 6, he talks about the way in cricket you can't hit sixes on every ball. The same way, multi-bagger, you should consider yourself if you happen to find one multi-bagger in 5 years period. I again repeat, one multi-bagger in 5 years period, and I will go to discuss about that. Another he talks about that, which I'm going to cover in this presentation, is that all you need is few winners to create a huge wealth. You don't need too many winners. Number 8 is talk about buyback. All the buybacks are really wealth creators or not. And I know many of you get a little excited. So please keep jotting it down what I'm going to discuss about it, because that's going to really change the way you look at your investment philosophy. Number 9, he talks about today in a world we all love the quarterly numbers and how management is able to beat expectation. And he's not a very big fan of company beating the expectation and overshooting the numbers as compared to what market was expecting. And last point, he talks about bias. If you continue remaining biased with our thought process, there is a fair chance that you are going to under this one. So let me start with the one and very critical. He says, and I quote from the letter, when large enterprises are being managed, both, that is his emphasis on both words, trust and rules are essential. You need trust and rules. Berkshire emphasized the former to an unusual, some would say extreme degree. That is the trust factor he emphasized too much. Disappointments are inevitable. He admits that disappointments hoga. We are understanding about the business mistakes. So he will pardon if there is a business mistakes. But our tolerance of personal misconduct is zero. He emphasizes our tolerance for personal misconduct is zero. And hence, we all need to understand when we invest in a company, you must avoid companies where corporate governance could be an issue. I distinctly recollect, I was talking to one fund manager, and in my previous organization, I was in, and one fund house has thrown a party, and I happened to attend that party. And during our conversation, this fund manager talks about 1% beverages that he invested in, and happened to meet the 1% beverages management. He used to call himself a Dhirubhai at the IPO analyst meet. And I asked him, are you comfortable in investing in that company? Because I believe a huge corporate governance issue could be in this company. No, he said, I'm very comfortable. I met the management is visionary and so on and so forth. And we all know what happened. Am I right? So I think the first thing that you must when you start investment journey is the trust and the rule, and that's the corporate governance. We all know what happened to the recently one big corporate house, where the moment it came under scanner, the script prices fell like a pack of cards. Am I right? He also talks about that every business will make mistakes. We will also make mistakes. You will also make mistakes if you're running a business, and if you're an employee, you will also make mistakes in your job. Am I right? That's fine. That's a part and parcel of matter. But you should not have a tolerance for the misconduct. If you remember, when the Lux Industries, the corporate governance issue came out, without wasting time, we closed that call and we said, move out of that company. So first principle which Warren Buffett emphasizes, and I must tell you this only, not only you should apply in an investment journey, same thing you should apply if you are a businessman, and if you are an employee, you should apply that rule to your employees also. The moment someone is doing misconduct, that person has to be asked to go immediately. The tolerance level to the misconduct should be 0. It's non-negotiable. At MarketsMojo, we have very similar philosophy. I'll give you a very classical example. One of the employees lied to Mohit about something we was given a task, and he said he did the task and he lied. We asked that gentleman to leave immediately because his honesty was at stake at that point of time. So I think this is what we imbibe in our, and this is much before Warren Buffett wrote a letter. So when you invest in a company, please follow corporate governance. Give a highest pedestal पे जो होना चाहिए ना is a corporate governance issue. The company may look very exciting, very tempting, but वहाँ पे even if you have doubt, please stay away. Doubt is also a stay away. नहीं होता है, comfort level नहीं होता है, नहीं करना है. Number 2. He talks about, and I again quote, our goal in both forms of ownership, because he also managed companies and also takes substantial stake in some of the listed company. In our goal in both forms of ownership is to make meaningful investment in business with both long-lasting favorable economic characteristics and trustworthy managers. Again, he's focusing on trustworthy. But I want to now talk about meaningful investment. अभी अपना problem क्या है ना? We want to invest in hundreds of companies. Due to that, our investment in the individual company stake is so immaterial that even if that company is going to do extremely well, it doesn't move the needle of your portfolio. Am I right? And he emphasized, when you decide to invest in a company, invest meaningful. पैसा लगाओ तो बड़ा लगाओ पैसा, क्योंकि जब वो बड़ा पैसा लगेगा, and when you start doing well, you make substantial returns. If in Mojo Infinity we do something very similar, we have a very concentrated portfolio strategy, and we do believe not to have a tail stocks. In case if it is a tail stocks, we do ask you to get out of it. Again, he emphasized on this. Trust is non-negotiable, and MarketsMojo stands on a huge amount of trust and respect from all of you. Why? Because we believe, which is not something not worth doing it, never should come at the cost of trust of our customers. Number 3 rule book he takes, and he admits, over the years I have made many mistakes. Warren Buffett says. Now, if Warren Buffett can make mistakes, sir, who are you and me? We will all make mistakes. So playing too safe will not result into wealth creation. Why? Because if you have a fear of making mistakes, तो फिर कोई पैसा बनेगा ही नहीं आपका. Am I right? So errors are part of, making mistakes are part of an investment journey. The moment you realize in your mind, it gets ingrained in your brain, then the life becomes easy. Problem क्या होता है हमारा psychological? नहीं यार. I give you a classical example. If I ask you to get out of a company, and if it is about to be booking losses, our fear is that, well, this clip goes up, then what happens after I sell? मैं तो लॉस ज़्यादा बुक कर रहा हूँ ना, क्या के लिए करूँ? And that fear of mistakes will not allow you to take the decision. The key thing in the investment journey is that how quickly you realize a mistake and trim your losses. And the moment you do that, I think you should be fine. Everyone make mistakes. You will make mistakes. I'll make mistakes. MarketsMojo will make mistakes. The key is that how quickly you realize. And once you quickly realize, take action on that. फिर उस पे बैठे मत रहो. I'll give you a very classical example. Okay, it's my mistake, I'm telling you. So, in 2013-14, I distinctly recollect, Suraj Diamond came under some kind of a corporate governance issue. and I was holding in my portfolio, and I'm still holding, I must tell you that. The value has become zero. I did not book the loss. I should have actually done it, but I did not do that. And my value has become zero. So what he says, cutting weight is critical of a portfolio growth. If you don't able to have the habit of admitting mistakes and move on in life, what would happen? You will remain with dead stocks. And since due to that, your overall portfolio may not outperform. So point is that admit everyone will make mistakes. You will also make mistakes. I'll also make mistakes. Admit and move on in life. उसमें ego बना मत दो. Okay, it should not hurt your ego. How can I make mistakes? Why should I accept my mistake? That's not the right thing. Now it's a very critical fourth point he talks about. It's and again quote, it is crucial to understand that stocks often trade at truly foolish prices, both high and low. Efficient market exists only in textbook. ये वॉरेन बुफे बोल रहा है. In truth, marketable stocks and bonds are baffling. Their behavior usually understandable only in the retrospect. In a hindsight, you understand या तो गलत था या सही था. Am I right? The price. And hence, it's crucial to understand, and we must complement that because sometimes when I do understand, okay, this company is quoting at higher valuation, why should we invest? That high valuation company can still give you capital appreciation, am I right? पर आप वो बुकिश नॉलेज से लगा के देखोगे कि टेक्स्ट बुक का कि इसका पी इतना ही होना चाहिए, इसका इतना ही होना चाहिए, then you will not make. So he says, start admitting the fact that yes, some company will tend to quote much lower than its true worth, and sometimes for a longer period of time, much higher than what they should be commanding. Am I right? And efficient markets only in textbook. So the moment you understand that, your decision making will become much simpler. I again want to emphasize on the word efficient market exists only in textbook, and he's emphasized on the word efficient. And he often used the word truly foolish prices. And we must understand that as a part of this one. Of course, I'll be more than happy to ask any question that you may have. Now, coming to the fifth factor, and talks about, he admits now, in 50 years of my Berkshire management, most of my capital allocation decisions have been no better than so-so, मतलब average रहा है. But in some cases, also my bad moves by me have been rescued by very large doses of luck. What does he mention? Luck is very, very critical. Even the best of the best fund manager need luck to generate wealth. And hence, sometimes if you go right, we think we are become Warren Buffett. Am I right? It may be purely because of your luck, nothing because of your intelligence. So please remember, luck is very, very critical. And I think he emphasized, a fund manager like Warren Buffett mentions, after having a 50 years of managing investment, not the age, he's more than 90 now. 50 years of Berkshire management he has done, and he says luck is very critical. You can imagine he must be making he must be in his senses when he makes a statement, am I right? And do not underestimate the power of luck in your investment journey. Now, point number 6 he talks about, and I want to emphasize this. He talks about our satisfactory results have been the product of about dozen truly good decisions. 58 years में उसकी करियर में डजन 12-13 की बात कर रहा है. That would be about 1 every 5 years. हमारा क्या है? When I talk to the people, every year we want multi-bagger. Every script that we want, it has to be multi-bagger. अरे भाई, वॉरेन बुफे नहीं कर पाए, तुम कौन हो? तुम कौन से खेत की मूली हो? He says, once in every 5 years. हमें तो every 5 years क्या? Every 3 years क्या? Every 1 year क्या? Every stock that we invest should be multi-bagger. वो practically नहीं है. If Warren Buffett is not able to locate one multi-bagger even 1 year, who are we? ग्राउंड पे आ जाओ मेरे भाई. So you should consider yourself lucky if you have 1 or 2 multi-bagger, maybe once in 5 years. But that is going to make all the difference to your overall returns, provided you have taken substantial position on that company. In Rakesh Junjunwala case, if you remember, the biggest multi-bagger has been Titan. But he had taken substantial position. That's why he created that kind of a wealth, isn't it? So remember, the second point you talk about meaningful position, and second, third thing about multi-bagger. Multi-bagger रोज नहीं होने वाला है. तो आप सोचते हो मेरे मॉडल पोर्टफोलियो में, मेरे मोजो इन्फिनिटी में मल्टी-बैगर हर एक होना चाहिए. अरे भाई, वॉरेन बुफेट नहीं कर सकता तो व्हाट इज मार्केट्स मोजो, व्हाट इज इन्फिनिटी? नहीं होने वाला है. वो एक्सपेक्टेशन रखना ही गलत है. Another thing he talks about in the latest letter. The wits wither away in significance as the flowers bloom. कोई कंपनी आपने एलोकेट किया है, वो कंपनी का परफॉर्मेंस खराब हो रहा है, पर जो अच्छा करे वो अच्छा रहा है, तो ओवरऑल वेटेज ऑफ दैट कंपनी डूइंग गुड will keep increasing. The company that is not doing good, bad, will keep coming down. Over time, it takes just a few winners to work wonders. Few winners, remember the word few winners. मैं जो पहले वाली बात करता मल्टी बैगर्स का. And hence, remember what we need is a few winning stocks, provided you have significant exposure to that. It is essential not to cut flowers or weed water weeds. Remember, it's very critical. Peter Lynch has said, am I right, Peter Lynch? These are very critical things to create wealth, but sometimes we don't give importance to that. So, and another thing which I think is very critical to understand also from this, do not try to catch falling knives. हम लोग का क्या psychology क्या है? कोई कंपनी गिरा है, मुझे let me buy more of that. It's like watering the weeds. Am I right? उससे क्या होगा? वो वीड का पोर्टफोलियो बढ़ता जाएगा, एलोकेशन बढ़ता जाएगा, and the flowers will not be able to bloom. Don't make that mistakes. Don't make that mistakes. Buybacks. You know, we are all excited about buybacks. We are all excited about bonuses. We are all excited about dividend. So he talks about in this latest letter, when the share count goes down, why it goes down? Because of buyback. Your interest in many businesses goes up. Why it goes up? Because number of shares get reduced, and your number of shares is the remain. Your stake is the same. So denominator goes down, so your stake goes up. Every small bit of helps repurchase are made at value accretive prices. But just as surely when a company overpays for repurchases, जब company tries to overpay for the repurchase buyback करता है, the continuing shareholder loses. And that's why I keep saying, all buybacks are not wealth creating story. We need to understand whether that, in fact, unfortunately I have not put the data in my today's presentation because I knew that my presentation will go a little longer, and then I don't want to do that. So some other day I'll definitely make a presentation to you people how buybacks have not work. So whenever buyback, when the company is paying higher than what they should be, sometimes trying to play to the gallery to jack up the prices, those buybacks are never wealth creator. Eventually वो company पैसा नहीं बनाएगा. And I think Warren Buffett has said very clearly, be careful when you do the buyback is good. He emphasized on the letter that buybacks are very good, provided it has been done at the right price. Otherwise, the selling shareholders will make money, and those who continue to remain with that company, eventually they'll lose out on that. Am I right? So that's what he talks about. The another thing he talks about, some companies are, and I'm not going to repeat this, very long quote. He said, bold, imaginative accounting. The many CEOs take pride that we bet the market expectations. And he says a very dangerous sign. He says that very dangerous sign. Management focus should never be to satisfy analysts every one quarter after every quarter. That's not the job of CEO. CEO job is to see that company reports or grows sustainable over a longer period of time. And hence he said, beating expectation is heralded as a management triumph. He focuses on that. If you look at this sentence, he says beating expectation is heralded as a management triumph. That activity is disgusting. He uses the word that activity is disgusting. It requires no talent to manipulate numbers. Only deep desire to deceive is required. जब मैनेजमेंट आपको डिसीव करना होता है तभी ये मैनेजमेंट बोलता है मैं एवरी टाइम दे आर बीटिंग एक्सपेक्टेशन एंड डोंट गेट फॉल बाय दैट दिस वन. So sometimes we think, oh, he management has beaten this one. He said, please be wary of this kind of a management. Again, it goes back to the very first point I'm talking about, corporate governance. Now I'm going to club some of the interesting. Our CEO will always be the chief risk officer. If you remember yesterday, I talked about SVB. There was no chief risk officer in that company from April 2022 till January 2023. A task it is responsible to delegate. He strongly believes that no CEO should delegate a task, to someone else, because ultimately CEO is responsible for what is good and what are the potential risks the company has to encounter. He can't delegate that. So when you listen to the CEO of a company, maybe in the annual report or in the opening remarks of the analyst meet, you should always see what kind of focus he is given to the risk factors. For some reason, if he has not given that risk, he is not enumerated or elaborated on risk factors, that means that CEO does not understand the risk associated with the company, and eventually that company will fail miserably. I always get very scared. I was talking to one very leading broking firm ka bande se, and he happened to talk about one, I don't want to name that company, he was talking about cable company. And he was saying the management has a vision for next 5 years, and every 5 years they will grow at 15-20%, so on and so forth. And I said, okay, we have a friendly bet. 5 साल के बाद ये company double भी करेगा ना market cap, I'll be happy. Based on that way. So, because he is not able to understand the risk associated with the company. And that's the biggest danger I would get. So when I read the CEO letters to the shareholders, I look at what are the things he's talking about the risk factors. Does he understand the risk factors? First thing is that. If he doesn't understand risk factors, वो company eventually it will lose out, because he's not able to, उसको पता ही नहीं कि वहाँ पे blind spot कभी कहाँ पे आने वाला है. So that's what he's talking about. Now let me summarize some of the points which I am put in a bullet form. So I'll put it. The world is full of foolish gamblers, and they will not do so as well as the patient investor. We are all impatient investor. He's talking about the word patient. So first thing, we should not be foolish gamblers, but we should be patient investor. That's what the word is using. So that's number one. If you don't see the world the way it is, हम लोग अपना चश्मा लगा देंगे अपनी खुद के बायस का. If you don't see the world the way it is, it's like judging something through the distorted lens. जब अपना distorted lens होता है तो दिखता नहीं है vision, बराबर है. And third thing, if you don't care whether you are rational or not, you won't walk on it. जब हमको पता नहीं हम लोग गलत है कि नहीं, सुधरेंगे नहीं ना हम लोग, then you will stay irrational and get lousy results. तो फिर अपने आप को blame करना है. Am I right? So my request to all of you is that eliminate bias, view the situation objectively. अपना जो काला चश्मा है ना, उसको निकालना है. See the as things are. Then only you'll be able to create wealth. Become rational while investing. Emotion causes us to be unreasonable or irrational. Very good thing. Remember, again I want to harp on. Don't be foolish gambler, but the patient investor. See the way the world it is. Don't get distorted. Your vision should not get distorted. Okay, don't judge something by a distorted lens. And you should be rational. Realize that you are not rational. You should realize that you are not rational. Otherwise, you will stay rational and will get lousy results. Then don't blame someone else. You need to blame yourself. Another things he said. There is no such thing as 100% while investing. And thus use of leverage is dangerous. बोलता है श्योर शॉट है ये तो कंपनी कुछ है नहीं लाइफ में. जब वॉरेन बफेट बोलता तुम लोग कौन होते हो बोलने वाले हैं राइट, मैं कौन होता बोलने वाला. देयर इज नथिंग कॉल्ड श्योर शॉट while investing. So don't expect that every investment that we are going to make is going to make. And hence it don't use leverage, because leverage, when you are short short now, your confidence goes up, and when your confidence goes up, you would do leverage. That's what he said. You don't, however, need to own lot of things to get rich. हम लोग का क्या है, मैंने ये भी ले लिया, मैंने वो भी ले लिया, मैंने वो कंपनी ले लिया, वो सेक्टर ले लिया. What happens because of that? You over diversified. He said you don't own lot of things. You don't need to be own lot of things to become a rich. Take few companies, take meaningful exposure, पैसा बनाओ. And last but not the least, when the world changes, you must change. हमारा प्रॉब्लम क्या है मालूम है? मैंने ये किया था, ये रिटर्न मिला था, मैंने वो किया था, भाई वो पास्ट हो गया. The world has changed, you need to change. Otherwise, you will be relevant in this market. You need to change your investment style with the changing market scenario. When the world changes, so I'll give a very classical example, okay? And he admitted in his letter, I have not put it. You know, he mentioned that. So I don't know how many people remember. The Warren Buffett has said, I don't understand tech stocks and I will never invest. And he admitted that he was wrong. And he invested in Apple. And today Apple holds a very significant. Same way he mentioned about the railroads company. And then he invested, he created a lot of wealth. So remember, we all need to remove our bias, see the things as they are. Do not over diversify your portfolio. We will all make mistakes, but we need to learn from that. So do not expect 100% accurate every time you invest. Leverage is dangerous, and over-diversification is a sign of confusion and not intelligence. Now, I want you to harp on this point, and please take a note of this. Warren Buffett created huge wealth. He's one of the top 5 richest person on the earth. और वो पैसा कुछ 1-2 साल में नहीं बना. It has come in a long term. And I want to harp on one point. If you look at it, the age of 39, net worth of Warren Buffett was 25 million, sorry. In next 5 years, that is in the age of 44, his net worth went down by almost 25%. 5 साल हो गया लेकिन उसका net worth 25% down हो गया. It came down to 19 million only. The point I wish to convey, okay, you can see, I'm sorry, 34 and 39, at the age of 39, it was 25 million, and at the age of 44, it became 44, if you can see 19 million. Now, wealth creation is a long term. You will underperform. Warren Buffett underperformed for 5 years. He did not panic. But हमारा तो क्या है, 1 साल परफॉर्म नहीं किया, वी गेट पैनिक. अरे हम लोग का तो ब्लड प्रेशर ऊपर नहीं होता है. Oh, this strategy is not working, that IP is not working, and so on and so forth. Warren Buffett 2 years in a row did not perform well, around 1920. That's why I say trust and rules are very critical. Coming back to the first point. So if your process is right, your outcome has to be good. And that's what we believe in. So once again, thanks a lot. Keep giving your feedback. We love getting feedback, because based on your feedback only we did last 2 webinars. We do listen to your suggestion. So please keep writing to us. Thanks a lot, Adrian, for hosting this webinar. Over to you.
Thanks a lot everyone for joining today's event. Looking forward to seeing you all come for the event in the evening as well at 7 p.m. where we would be talking about the new stocks that have been added to our MojoOne strategies. Before I conclude, please note the India plus USA Access offer link is still available. The link is just below the video, where you would get 3 years of total for India, which contains MojoOne plus Stock of the Week, plus all of USA's features where you can go analyze and search the top stocks for all in the US markets. Looking forward to seeing you all come for the events in the future. Goodbye and have a great day.